to IDEC 2022.
Defense and service chiefs and their representatives from across Africa and beyond, distinguished generals, admirals and air marshals, senior officers, distinguished invited guests, distinguished speakers and delegates, our friends from the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a distinct honor and unique privilege to welcome all of you to the maiden edition of the International Defense Exhibition and Conference 2022. The theme for the maiden edition of the International Defense Exhibition and Conference is, I quote, strengthening international collaboration to combat terrorism and transnational organized crime, unquote. To do this requires a multi-dimensional strategy that safeguards citizens, break the financial strength of criminals and terrorist networks, disrupt illicit traffic networks, defeat transnational crime organizations, fight corruption, strengthen the rule of law, bolster judicial systems, and improve transparency. These are the major challenges that we face, and there is the need for a concerted effort to devise and execute a collective strategy. The United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, adopted by the General Assembly, Resolution 5525 of 15th November 2000, is the main international instrument in the fight against transnational organized crime. This convention is supplemented by 3 protocols which target specific areas and manifestation of organized crimes. And these are: A, the protocol to prevent, suppress, punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children; B, the protocol against the smuggling of migrants by land, sea and air; and C, the protocol against illicit manufacturing of and trafficking of firearms, their parts and components and ammunition. The convention represents a major step in the fight against transnational organized crime and signifies the recognition of the member states of the seriousness of the problems posed by it, as well as the need to foster and enhance close international cooperation in order to tackle those problems. This year's conference and exhibition hold special value for the Ghana Armed Forces. Today, we are going to focus on terrorism and transnational organized crimes, and we will devote tomorrow to open discussion and initiatives to counter terrorism and transnational organized crime at an off-site location which will be hosted separately by the various service chiefs of the Ghana Armed Forces. Additionally, the exhibition is being mounted outside this main building to create the necessary social distancing in line with the COVID-19 protocols. This conference will feature a host of events to include keynote speeches, panel discussions, breakout sessions, presentations by various industry players, and social events. I would encourage you to take time to visit the various stands of our industry exhibitors to discover new solutions to our ever-changing threats. We have also scheduled a meeting for our service chiefs or their representatives to enable us deliberate on the way forward to deal with our common security threats. The major outcome that we expect from this conference and exhibition, in line with the theme, is a common understanding of the problem and to develop a regional and international framework for dealing in particular with the challenge of terrorism and transnational organized crime. We hope our industry players will present us with workable and affordable solutions that will be adopted regionally. My special thanks go to Great Minds Events Limited, who are based in Dubai, and the Gulf of Guinea Maritime Institute, who have proven to be very loyal, dependable, and committed partners, and very instrumental in the organization of this program. And I thank you very much for your attention. May God bless us all.
Security issues in the world have grown more complex and dangerous. Therefore, the need to provide appropriate strategies to these complexities as a united force cannot be overemphasized. Distinguished delegates and exhibitors, the global geopolitical divides have continued to deepen. These divides create an environment of impunity in which the state and non-state actors believe today that they can do whatever they want and get away with it. I urge all of us, wherever we find ourselves, to be extremely tactful and cautious, that we may aim at reducing the tensions and, of course, tone down the flames, if not put them out completely. For international law, trust building and dialogue are paramount at this time. It is therefore important that we set a collaborative and collective tone to combat the issues plaguing our continent and the world as a whole. It's on this premise that I'm extremely delighted to see all of you, distinguished generals, admirals, air marshals, representatives of our international partners and stakeholders in the defense and maritime security here today. Ladies and gentlemen, as nations seek to readjust and realign themselves in respect of trade, development and economic growth, transitional crime pose a great challenge to the rule of law, economic and social development, and of course the protection of human rights and security. These crimes undermine people's quality of life and threaten their human security by limiting access to employment and educational opportunities. They further directly affect the public financing capabilities of states and can obstruct economic development through tax evasion. We are here gathered because our country's armed forces and security architecture have a huge stake in dealing with the matters of governing regional instabilities and security. This is because whatever measures and strategies are put in place to revive economies will largely depend on how we collaborate and cooperate to eradicate this menace. International trade cannot flourish without a secured sub-regional peace and security. I am therefore delighted with the theme for this conference, which is strengthening international collaboration to combat terrorism and transnational organized crimes. Distinguished delegates and exhibitors, many regions see close linkages between terrorism and criminal groups, whose main agenda is to exploit porous borders and weak governments. It is necessary to ensure effective and efficient international and regional cooperation in dealing with criminal matters related to terrorism and the designation of relevant authorities to direct such cooperation. Establishing strong cooperation agreements among member states worldwide will help facilitate requests for mutual legal assistance and extraction, which plays an important role in the prosecution of cases transcending national borders. The use of electronic surveillance, undercover operations, and the use of informants have proven to be effective techniques and have helped investigative agencies to combat organized crimes and transnational crimes. We develop and strengthen legislation to criminalize the laundering of proceeds from war crime, train officials and increase the ability to identify and interdict cross-border transportation of illegal cash or other negotiable instruments as a major step in curbing organized crime in the sub-region and the world at large. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, tackling insecurity in the sub-region is of urgent importance to the government of Ghana, considering the fact that these insecurities hinder the continent's development as well as that of Ghana in particular. It is therefore important that we build upon the endeavors of Africa's armed forces to enhance combined capabilities to counter the insecurities that plague the continent. We have assembled here the world's best military and security professionals whose combined commitment to tackling the menace should bring out practicable and workable approaches, strategies to bring the situation under reasonable control. Beyond this conference, I must say, my expectation is that concrete networks will be established at the sub-regional, continental, and global levels to integrate your strategies and efforts at holistically dealing with these threats. Welcome.
This is the third iteration working together with Great Minds event planners. We held the first event in 2019 when I was Chief of the Navy, and it was also part of the celebration of the Ghana Navy 60th anniversary celebration. That was the first event. And then 2 years later, a second event was also held, this time with the Ghana Navy and the Ghana Air Force, also in partnership with Great Minds event. And at that second event, I happened to be the guest of honor as Chief of Defense Staff for the closing ceremony. And I remarked, I wish and prayed that we would have an event that will carry the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, all three. And so here we are today with the first event of this nature, International Defense Exhibition and Conference, the maiden edition that involves all the three services. To me, it has been highly successful and very impactful, judging from all accounts and from comments that have been expressed by various participants, VIPs, and exhibitors. The theme is strengthening international collaboration in combating terrorism and other organized crimes. You know that terrorism and other transnational organized crimes cut across several boundaries. And so no single country has the wherewithal to deal or to fight terrorism and transnational organized crime. So it takes a collaborative effort between nations putting their resources together to fight this transnational crime. And that is why we had an exhibition and conference for defense chiefs, service chiefs from across the globe to come and share their thoughts on the strategies to fight terrorism and transnational organized crime. We also invited exhibitors, producers of various technology to come and showcase the latest technologies in using to fight terrorism and transnational organized crime. And for me, it has been a huge success. From the various presentations and panel discussions, you have seen panelists sharing their experience in what has transpired in their various countries. And so it is a learning process for individual countries to learn from the experiences of other countries and then apply the methods and strategies in fighting terrorism and transnational organized crime. They will never end up as talk shops. At the end of it, or we put a document together as a community. And the exhibition stands, we have seen people doing brisk business, engaging the manufacturers, not signing contracts, but engaging them for future acquisitions and procurement. So it is not going to end here. After this conference, there will be follow-on engagement with the exhibitors and manufacturers of equipment for procurement, and that will go towards fighting this menace of terrorism and transnational organized crime. I thank you all.